Oh, that's why he goes off to get a bunch of acceleration to just. Oh, that's sick. Yo, what's up? This one's called The Quest for the Biggest Trackmania Shortcut by Wirtual.
There's a famous saying that in life, there are no shortcuts to success.
We reacted to like a bunch of videos before. Somewhere on my
Game,
channel, watch them.
That couldn't be further from the truth. In Trackmania Nations Forever, the only thing that matters is your time at the finish line, no matter how you achieve it. In the 12 years since the game was released, many players have found and performed incredible shortcuts on track.
Yeah, absolutely. We watched a super crazy one before.
Anything from a few hundreds to sometimes a few seconds versus driving the intended way. But those numbers pale in comparison to what you'll see in this video.
Alright, I'm hyped.
For over a decade, Trackmania players have been
He better bring back the soundtrack. He better bring back the soundtrack he used in the other ones. The one.
For the biggest shortcut in the game. And this hunt for perfection led players to saving minutes and eventually hours on tracks.
Oh, on tracks in general, like not on a single track, okay.
Shortcut in Trackmania.
Let's see it. Yes, back with Wirtual. I'm so happy. The previous ones were absolute bangers. This guy's the best storytelling. Okay, maybe not the best on the entire YouTube, but he's definitely among them.
But the metric players have traditionally used is the total time a shortcut way saves over the intended way.
That makes sense.
And in order to save a lot of time, you first need a track that takes a lot of time to complete.
What the fuck is this map?
Our story begins in March of 2013 when Jav, an infamous Trackmania shortcut player, made a video about the track
The shortcut player? So a player whose whole identity is based off of the fact that they find shortcuts and do them. That's so cool.
Longest track ever. This track isn't actually the longest one ever, but that's how it was named when it was built in 2010.
Okay.
The track has 2 checkpoints.
Was it the longest at the time though? That's what I want to know. Because no, obviously it's not ever anymore. Because I mean, you could do much more than that. But
one at the very start of the track and one at the ending. But in order to collect the second checkpoint, you first need to drive all the way up to the top, spiraling back and forth at the entire.
It's fucking stupid. It's just so fucking long, man. It is dumb as bricks. I'm like, you don't really fail unless you completely stop looking at your screen and accidentally go off road.
Length of the stadium. 6 times in a row, taking around 45 minutes to complete.
These guys that normally shave like milliseconds and fucking nanoseconds off of the map are gonna be laughing.
Jav and his team were frustrated with this track, and they wanted to see if they could shortcut it, and what they found was amazing.
How do you shortcut this? Like, you can't fucking fly. That's not a thing. What?
You see, the author of the track had tried to be cheeky and place some speed traps at the end of each level, where if you weren't aware of them,
all right. My guess, right? You have to bump into a corner and have it fly you up,
forcing you to start all the way over again. Jav and his teammates discovered that they could use this speed trap to their advantage, when on the 5th of March 2013, Jav uploaded this run to the leaderboards. Jav started out by taking the first checkpoint.
Okay.
And then instead of continuing on the road, he went out on the grass and drove a lap around the stadium.
Oh, that's not what I expected.
Skipping the first layer of the track. Then he climbed back on
but this map doesn't have a shit ton of checkpoints on it, right? That's huge, because the map isn't full of checkpoints.
The track at the end of the first layer, just before the speed trap. He then went at full speed, and right at the end of it, he steered sharply to the left to bounce on the road border.
So why did he do that? Is that to gain speed?
Then he climbed back onto the track at the end of the first layer, just before the speed trap.
Why?
He then went at full speed, and right at the end of it, he steered sharply to the left to bounce on the road border, flying and landing perfectly on the middle part of the stadium.
Oh my god, you can land on this. I thought that was background.
From there, he gathered speed on the outside, and
that's so fucking cool. That's so sick.
Was right, steered sharply to the right to bounce up on the roof of the stadium. He then drove all the way up to the glass and dropped down underneath the big pipe to land perfectly on the road in front of the second checkpoint.
Ah, that's fucking sick.
Dropped down to the grass and drove to the finish, completing the track in 1 minute and 28 seconds.
Absolutely huge. That looks like it takes so much time to execute as well. Like so like to figure. How in the world do you possibly come up with this
and
strat?
pulling off a
That's what I
shortcut.
want to know. These shortcut players, the craziest part to me is that they always come up with the craziest strats. So that's 4 medals, world or 5 medals, right? World record on top of a base 4.
That saved 43 minutes. Quite the time saver. Most shortcuts in the game only saved a few seconds.
Absolutely. I mean,
finding one
it's
that
good if they
saved
save a
more
few
than
even.
43 minutes was going to be very
There's some that are
difficult if someone
not
wanted
even
to
necessarily shortcuts, right? Like, so from what I've watched, the way I understand this is that there are some parts where like a shortcut could be like arguable whether it actually saves time or not, and you have to experiment with it a lot just to find out if it actually even is a shortcut or if it's just an old path that ends up being slower.
beat the biggest shortcut record. But a few months later, a new track had sprung up that was even longer, and if it could be shortcut, it would completely crush the biggest shortcut record. This
Okay,
track
how long is
simply
it?
called the
That looks tiny. What? Huh?
This track is possible. It was built by the mapper Igntil in 2011, and originally it
What is going on here?
out
I'm
as
so
a puzzle.
confused.
Igntil challenged other Trackmania players to finish it, and at first it seemed pretty straightforward. Just drive to the finish line. But this red block is an engine off block that
Can you not just like jump over to the side and ignore it? Like, that sounds pretty doable.
permanently shuts off your car's engine. And because of the anti-boosters pointed
Oh, they're anti-boosters. They slow you down, so it's hard to
against
skip it.
you, it's not possible to just drive to the finish line. Even with perfect driving, skipping the anti-boosters, you still don't get far enough. So how do you finish it?
Yeah, I gotta skip the engine off, right? That's the only way.
By driving upside down. This is the original solution to Igntil's puzzle, where in the start, Igntil intentionally drives upside down, doing a technique called a turtle, whereby rocking the car back and forth, kind of like a
That's
turtle stuck
fucking
on its
awesome.
back. It's possible to drive upside down, since the wheels touch the ground and accelerate the car. He turtles across the engine off block, and drives as far
Oh, and it doesn't turn off the engine because you don't touch the block.
as he can reach until the car stops.
So I'm assuming the trigger for whether the engine block it touches or not, the engine off block, is somewhere at the bottom of the car, and so he literally just his hitbox doesn't connect with it, the hitbox that needs to turn it off.
Still far away from the finish.
That's so smart.
But when upside down, the
Oh no, the engine does still go off. The engine is off.
Trackmania car has a very slow default movement.
So the engine does in fact go off, but thanks to being upside down, and the boosters won't push him the other way because the engine's off.
Of 1 block per hour. And since the distance to the finish here is 16 blocks long,
That's
the
so
solution to the
fucking
puzzle is
stupid.
to wait for 16 hours until your car
16 hours. How do you shortcut this? Oh, that's great.
crosses the
Oh,
finish
that's
line,
awesome.
making it the longest track in Trackmania history. This track is possible drew a lot of attention from shortcutters, because if the map could be somehow exploited,
Yeah, that would be
would
a
easily be the
huge
biggest
time
shortcut.
save. Absolutely gargantuan time save.
in the game's history by several hours. But finding a shortcut was not easy, because the only way to shortcut the track would be to somehow skip the engine off block. But it seemed like there was no way to get past it. 2 years passed without any players managing to shortcut the track. But in the summer
I'm assuming engine off blocks are possible to skip, right? Like, what if you like slide along the edge? Oh no, but there's the little turbine things on the sides that probably make it so you can't just clip off.
2013, that all changed when Tortugo uploaded this run to the leaderboard.
I don't get it. Why the fuck do they always go completely off the rails for these shortcuts, man? Is he gonna like climb on the top of that thing and just jump into the finish line or what? Oh, that's why he goes off to get a bunch of acceleration to just. Oh, that's sick. I just skip the engine offs and
46.48, beating the world record on the track by 15 hours and 41 minutes. easily making it the biggest shortcut in the game. Tortugo had
Sorry,
performed
by
a
how many
grab,
hours?
beating the world record on the track by 15 hours and 41 minutes, easily making it the biggest shortcut in the game. Tortugo had
My throat hurts.
performed a gravity-defying bounce, majestically soaring like a high jumper.
That has to
perfectly
land
over the
so
bar,
perfectly.
making it up on the road.
That is so perfect. How many attempts did this take? I just wanted to take a piss, and I just remembered a cool stat I saw. So you know how most YouTubers tell you, like, oh guys, 90% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. Well, guess what? I checked, and it's 99.7% of people of watch time on this channel is from non-subscribed people. Huh?
And skipping the engine up.
You know what I'm telling you, right? You know what I'm telling you? Do I have to tell you twice? Come on, do the thing. Come on, it helps.
Off block.
And you get a bunch of content. Like I upload a lot. This shit is fun. Like, tell 'em.
This record would stand for a little over a year, until in 2014, Igntil decided to update This Track Is Possible to prevent shortcuts. The main change
Okay.
though was that he added walls to block the ledge Tortugo had launched
And
from.
he blocked a bunch more. This makes sense. Remember how I said, like, it seems like you could just kind of slide off to the side and skip it? Well, there we go. That's fixed. I kind of, legit, not gonna lie, I thought this was what people were initially gonna do. Just, like, skipping these, basically. But he went and fixed that as well. Very smart.
The main change though was that he added walls to block the ledge Tortugo.
So is it literally impossible to shortcut now, or is there still some way to exploit the physics engine? Hey, bro, if you give it to ChatGPT, or what's it called, OpenAI, I bet the OpenAI bots will figure out how to get this map done, how to get the shortcut done in a month, give or take.
Had launched from, and there was now seemingly no way to skip the engine off block.
Seemingly.
The track was widely considered shortcut proof, and it seemed like players would have to look somewhere else if they wanted to break the biggest shortcut record.
Oh, okay, so people just give up on this one. That's fair, that's fair.
Before the shortcut nation attacked. Meet
Fastest way only. Okay. I asked what FWO meant. And someone in the comments actually explained. Thanks for that, by the way. Cheers. Like, glad you actually listened.
Fastest way only. A Trackmania team solely dedicated to finding unique and interesting shortcuts on tracks. In 2015,
They're the shortcut boys. Wirtual, I believe, became part of them. I don't know how recently. I don't know if he was at the time of making this video, but he's definitely a part of Fastest Way Only right now. Actually, no, I think he did become part of it a while ago. I'm pretty sure that was mentioned in one of his older videos. Was it? I could be making shit up on the spot. It's been a while since I've reacted to those, so I don't remember every detail.
they were requested to try This Track Is Possible to see if they could set the biggest shortcut record.
And the answer is
And
yes!
They found a very promising idea.
Let's go!
Fastest Way Only had figured out that the engine off block would only activate when your wheels had grip on the surface. This happens both when the car is on wheels.
So you do the upside down turtle shit, and you have to not be tipping. That way you won't touch the... I knew it. So the Fastest Way Only is triggered not by the hitbox of the car, it's by the hitbox of the wheels. Which means that so long as you time the turtle where it doesn't touch the engine off, you could still then somehow tumble back onto your feet. But it's difficult to control your car while upside down. I wonder how they do this. Oh, that's so
And
interesting.
when it's upside down. But technically, if one managed to get across the engine off block without having grip, it would never activate.
Yes.
And you could then skip the 16-hour-long waiting part at the ending. But how exactly would you get across? Well, this
Every single time the shortcut starts and they go off the track, they just run on the grass and run into the distance. What is it with Wirtual or Trackmania players just go in the somewhere completely else due to the
is a two-wheel. For the longest time, two wheels used to just be a fun coincidence players would include in their montages, as it was a very rare position to get the car stuck in. But on This Track Is Possible, FWO discovered that they could use the two-wheel to their advantage. Because while in a two-wheel, the car doesn't have grip with the surface.
Oh, it's grip. It has to be that side of the wheel. The sides of the wheels are fine, and the car slides while it's. Oh my god! Ah!
Meaning that if you got one which drifted across the engine
That
off,
is so many attempts. That is so many attempts. I love this replay
you could
thing.
easily shortcut the track. But the trick itself was by no means easy. They first had to flip the car from being upside down to being perfectly balanced on the side without tipping over, and then hope that the default movement of the car sent it across the engine off block. It took many attempts.
Absolutely. Oh, and then it flips on this side. Oh, that would be so sad. You like spend an hour fucking getting that. Your car's in the right position. You go take a piss, eat lunch, have some tea, I don't know. Come back only to find out that your car went and tipped itself.
Finally, Edge managed to set the first shortcut time on the track after the new update. Even in the world record run, it took Edge many attempts to get stuck in the perfect two-wheel position. But he finished
and he flips back. Let's go, Edge.
Still saving over 15 hours of position, the normal way.
Fastest way, only Edge.
When Ignital heard the news of the shortcut, he updated the track, adding a pipe above the engine off block, which made
this guy is doing his fucking hardest to make this an impenetrable track. I think that's his goal, honestly. I've honestly thought, I had this thought I didn't say for some reason, but I was wondering why track mappers don't just update the shit out of their maps to make them impenetrable. I mean, I get that shortcuts are fun, but if the goal is to make an impenetrable map, then do this, right? And I guess he's going for it. That's cool. This is literally what I would have done. Yeah, it's a piece of shit move partially, but you know, adds the shortcut is one more thing to work on, you know what I'm saying? It's a never-ending battle. It's like cheaters and anti-cheat. Anti-cheat gets better, cheaters get better. It's an end of the cycle. Cheats, not cheaters. The cheaters stay shit. That's why they're cheating.
It's now impossible. But in the update, he also messed up and accidentally created some holes in the grass layers, which now had an edge you could conveniently bounce against.
Let's see it.
And the player Panos was able to complete the track in just 31 seconds.
How in the fucking world do you possibly explore the map of this, how do you possibly explore the map enough to find that someone messed up a basically invisible part of the grass somewhere? That just shows exactly how many attempts happened here. This is insane.
Even beating Tortugo's
oh my god, 31-second run.
Original shortcut time.
But that gets patched quickly, right?
But after that was patched too, no one managed to shortcut the track ever since.
Whoa. Okay. For now, it's actually unbeatable. Impressive.
But there was another hope for players wanting to break the record. In 2000,
another name, the spiral. There's no way that's 30 hours, right? Is it a 30-hour map?
2015, Simo900 created a track called the Spiral. This track takes advantage of another default movement in the game, which is that the car will slowly move backwards when stuck in this position on a rail. Once you've gotten into that position on the rail, you can leave your computer running, get some rest, and return the next day to drive the car into the finish. This was the new longest track in the game, taking 30 hours and 30 minutes to complete.
Oh my god.
But could the track be shortcut somehow? Well, Simo900 had been very thorough.
Oh my god.
The track has several ring checkpoints that you have to pass through to get to the finish. And the only way of doing that is by going onto the rail. So that's, I was literally gonna say that, man. It sucks that he pointed out before me, so because now I can't make myself look smart, but like that matters. But I was thinking, like, yeah, you have to follow the whole thing. You can't just like do some trick where you jump over everything and land into the final thing, because you need to touch every ring. Only hope for a shortcut was once again to skip the engine off block. In 2018, I myself gave the shortcut a fair shot.
Oh.
I had found a setup for getting the car upside down on the start, but
oh, he was trying to do the same thing as that person, the guy that flipped himself upside down on the previous map.
That getting the car into a two-wheel position was much harder, since you had very limited space to work with. And to add to that, you'd also need a very specific two-wheel drift.
Yeah, see, like that one, that actually got the drift, but it went like to the right side instead of forward.
Towards the wall before the car just fell off the edge. After a lot of hours of trying, I only managed to get into the two-wheel position once, and that attempt quickly died.
Just once.
And after that, I decided.
Oh my god, the person that. Oh no, I already. I think I'm getting how this is gonna go, and this is looking very scary. Also, Ukraine represent.
There was no possible way to shortcut the spiral, and I forgot about the track for a while. But then, in March of 2020,
someone did the exact thing the Wirtual gave up trying, and then what? Do they drive the whole track manually? Or does the car slide when you're forward as well? No, I probably not. I mean, do you just have to tap with the action keys? You could probably make it. Did action keys exist in 2020? I've got a lot of questions.
The event Khaki is Khaki 5 was hosted, a competition where players build crazy tracks, exploiting unique bugs, and show them off to the community. One of the tracks in the competition, Khaki is Khaki 100, built by Wasker,
I love the
was
name
almost
is scheme.
exactly like the Spiral. A series of engine off blocks, followed by an impassable uphill if you tried to just drive normally. I noticed that his author time was under 20 seconds, whereas a two-wheel run would take several minutes.
Yeah.
It could only mean one thing. Wasker had found a new way to skip and
Of course.
Engine
And someone uses that new strat to do on the other map.
blocks. A little while later, Wasker revealed the trick to the world. By getting the car to turtle and then driving against the wall at a very specific angle, it's
What the fuck is this?
possible to lock the front wheel driving against the wall.
That's fucking great. That is insane that someone actually came up with this. Oh, I love Trackmania players. This is why I love watching Wirtual, man. This is one of my favorite channels to react to. That's why I keep coming back to him. These videos are absolutely crazy. This is not shit that I would ever think
Other
of
wheels
trying
are
if I
all
ever
in the
played
air.
one of these games.
You can skip the engine off block this way without ever touching it. A tremendous discovery. Immediately after seeing this, I told Wasker about the Spiral.
That's so
And though
difficult
it was
to do.
late into the night, we went
Or it
onto
looks
the
like
map
it. I don't
to try
actually
it
know.
out. Sure enough, the trick worked there as well. But the problem on the Spiral was that after skipping the engine off block, you still had to drive across the entire rail without falling off to save time. And that's much easier said than done. The safest
Oh,
way to
I
drive-
fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. See, remember how I had like a fucking scared moment, like with anticipation, like knowing exactly what's gonna happen? I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be insane. This is what I thought
on a
of.
rail is to have the back wheel on and the other three wheels hanging off.
Of course, because if you have all four wheels off, you're not having contact. Oh my god, I didn't even think of that. So you can't even like have a slow at drive speed. You have to manually control your car to make sure it stays on. The whole thing. And if it takes 30 hours to do a slow speed, I mean, it's at least a couple hours with normal speed or like a couple minutes. Oh my god, and if you fuck up, you have to do the whole circle again and the start. That is insane.
With this position, you should never exceed 45 speed on the turns
Or that throws you off.
and 25 speed on the straights. Else the car will climb over the rail and you'll fall off.
That is so terrifying. I mean, action keys, right? Is that were they not a thing?
You can also never let go of steering to the right or the car will fall as well. Considering that we started
So if you let go right away, it starts tipping and you're done for.
trying
Oh
this
my
at 4:30
God.
a.m., it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done.
But that was Wirtual doing it. Oh my god.
But after a little over 1 hour, we both reached
An hour of doing this.
the finish line,
Along with the guy that made the original trick.
setting the new world record
Came up with the trick.
for the biggest shortcut in the game. 29 hours and 30 minutes saved. But still, there was one final way to improve the record further. And one thing that both me and
Of course there was.
Wasker forgot about in the heat of the moment. Going backwards across the rail. It's harder for the Trackmania car to climb over the rail backwards, so the speed limits become 40 on turns and also 40 on straights. This meant that one could go pretty much twice as fast across the rail. And when I realized this, I decided to play the track again.
And he does it
on stream.
again. In just 30 minutes.
That's still pretty good.
Oh, he had a Blue Yeti, bro. Man, there should be some PSAs on YouTube telling new YouTubers not to buy the Blue Yeti. It costs as much as my mic. That mic that sounds deep-throated as fuck,
That's still pretty good, boys.
that costs the same as this thing. Like, don't buy the Blue Yeti, guys. It's just not worth it. There's a PSA for new YouTubers. I mean, if you're planning to buy a decently expensive mic, like, you know, it's more than $100, there's better options than the Blue Yeti nowadays, at least. Yeah. I mean, this is Wirtual from years ago, so maybe the Blue Yeti was the best option at the price point available at that time. I do not know, but right now it's definitely not. You can get shitty cheap mics to sound better
30 minutes and 11 seconds.
with a bit of, like, you know, work.
Beating the normal way record by 30 hours and
Oh, and if you're
40
wondering what mic I have, just, you know, it's the Rode NT USB on a boom arm that costs almost as much as the mic. I just like having it on an arm because I move way too much. Literally, like, I can't record on a stand, unfortunately. But, you know, to most people, that like, you could buy a cheaper boom as well. I just bought an expensive one because I'm fucking stupid, you know what I mean?
Minutes.
You don't have to do that. You just buy like a $30 stand and like,
which is where the
you have a setup that's better than the Blue Yeti for cheaper.
Stands today.
Or the same price.
After the wascrew trick was discovered, it has since been used to set the world records on other tracks with engine off blocks, since it's a fast and efficient way to get across, and the acceleration payoff can hardly be understated. But perhaps there will be an even faster method in the future. For now though, this is the history of the biggest shortcut in Trackmania.
Wirtual with the bangers.
Thanks for watching.
As
always.
To all my
patrons for making.
Man, where was that? There wasn't the classic Wirtual soundtrack. That's a little disappointing, not gonna lie, but
this video possible. If you want to become a patron,
look at that. He was a tiny channel back then. Oh my god. Look, that's all the patrons. That's why the soundtrack wasn't there. It's because it wasn't the classic soundtrack yet. Oh my god. This guy grew to this size in 2 years. Super impressive. I had no idea. I mean, go give this video a watch. It's got 6 million views, but still, it doesn't, you know, we don't want to steal views by my reaction existing. So that's the first link in the description. And while you're down there, you may as well, you know, give my channel a little pat on the back, you know, for this little reaction. I react to a lot more stuff, to be honest. So even if you don't want to do this just out of supporting because you think that's cringe, hey, you might just want to stay around because I got lots of other fun content. You know, I think you like it. Just look, 2 videos. Right, two videos right here. Give them a watch. If you don't care, just click on something else. All right, bye. Thanks for staying around. Bye.